you meeting, you link up with him, and you didn't really know, or I'm assuming you know a little bit, but you wasn't as familiar with what it was that he was into.
I mean, I was familiar when the first time I actually gave him the time of day and I spent time with him. So I was in the car with him and he just like drove all around the place. And everywhere he stopped, he picked up money from different people and he would just pass me the money and be like, hold that. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like holding it. And then I was only around him for maybe like probably not even an hour. And when it came time for me to get out, when he was dropping me off, he was like, oh, you just keep that. So like all the money he went around and he picked up that he was telling me to hold, he was like, oh, you just keep that. So in my little mind, it was like, oh, I ain't got to do nothing for this money.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
don't have to, you know what I'm saying? Do this, that, and the third for it. So that's really how he got me. And by him being so much older than me, he knew that was going to be what got me. But it was the fact that the first time, our first interaction, it was like, he just threw so much money at me. And it was just like, I couldn't resist it after that.
Do you think that it was more like a power thing that you was attracted to? Was it the opportunity or like the money? You had really never touched
It
that
was
much money
definitely the money.
before,
It was definitely the money.
and that was the thing that attracted you, or
Yes.
even reeled you in,
Yep. The
and
money.
you was hooked after that.
Yep. It was the money. Yes, it was.
Do you think that a lot of and I want to kind of get your opinion on some things as you tell me your story, because again, I think that the bigger thing is, for me, it's not the salacious story as much as it is about the lessons, right?
Right.
And so, do you think that a lot of young girls, and maybe not even young girls, maybe girls that may even be a little bit older, because you super mature, like the conversations that we was even having off camera, before I even got here to Jacksonville, like I could just pay attention to certain things, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But do you think that a lot of young girls are attracted to the power, and that's the thing that get them caught up? Like, what is it? And I kind of want you to draw from even some of the experiences that you might have experienced inside locked up from the different stories. What is it that attract young girls, or what is the thing that get young girls in so much trouble when they associate themselves? Why do they always go for the bad guy instead of attracting themselves to maybe the nerd or the dude that may be moving in a different type of way?
Honestly, from what I've been through, you know, what I've seen other people go through, it's all a matter of impressions because most of the things people do now, back then, and forever is based off of how somebody else is going to see them. So they go for the bad guys or the guy who has like the bad record or has like the toxic behaviors because those are the ones that's in hot demand. So you want what everybody else want. And when it comes to like money and status and stuff like that, it's like we live in a society where it's all about, oh, long as I can show you I got this, that's all I care about. You don't even really do it for yourself. You see it on social media. It's like everybody
that's
looks
true.
like celebrities. Everybody looks like they live in this lavish life. So it gets to the point where you try to keep up and you're trying to impress these same people that you see on your feed. So it's just, for me, when I was dealing with him, it was the money, and then on top of that, I was young, so he bought me a car. I was the only one of my friends with a car, so every time we went somewhere, it's like, oh, I'm driving, who riding, you know? And it's like I always had money, so when we went places, like, oh, girl, don't worry about it, I'm gonna pay for it, or like, I got this, or what you want? Like, it was always on me, and it was like that made me feel even better too because I was so young and I had a lot of stuff, you know, I had a lot of money. It gave me a certain status around my friends. So it was the money, it was the status, it was just being able to show people. And it's sad that we live in a society where you will neglect yourself just so you can impress
Well, I mean,
somebody else.
you was kind of young, so
I
you can
was
kind of
young.
give yourself that a little bit of
Leeway.
yeah, because, well, let me ask you a question now, because now it's sparking other thoughts, right? What about your parents? Like, they didn't see it or anything like that? Or was you like in a household where your mom worked all day so she didn't really see? How did that play out?
Well, as far as my father, he was married to a different woman, so he was not around. So
Okay.
he was not in the picture at all. And when it came to my mom, like, she did the best she could. You know, she tried to tell me 1,000 times, like she tried to jump down my throat. She did, but the relationship with me and my mom was so strained. It got to a point where
At
I
that
no
age?
longer, yes.
Wow.
It was strained over time, and it's
Okay.
like the older I got, now I'm grown and I can do what I want to do and I don't have to listen to you. It's like our relationship was so dysfunctional that if it was coming from my mom, I wasn't gonna hear it at all. Anyways, good, bad. I just didn't want to hear it coming from her.
Yeah. Did she ever like try to stop you?
She did, but I didn't listen.
Hey. So how long had you been talking to him prior to you actually getting caught up in your arrest?
It wasn't long at all. I met him. He got out of prison in like February, and I say he was like after me. I dodged him I curved him for about 2 months. So even if we count the time from February, we got arrested that November. So 9 months altogether is how long that relationship was that ruined my life.
Okay, so 9 months you have been talking to him. What happened? What happened on the day that you wound up getting arrested?
Okay, so I remember it was November 7th. And
Man, you remember the actual day and everything.
I'm a Virgo, so I'm good with numbers and dates, times. So it was November the 7th, and it was a Sunday. I remember he had went to church. I did not go to church, so I was back at the house and I was asleep. So he came in.
He went to church?
Yeah, he went to church.
What kind of intelligent thug is this? What is going on?
Maybe he wanted to talk to the Lord about what he knew he was finna do. But he did go to church that morning. He did.
Okay, so he went to church. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He went to
My bad
church.
for interrupting. Go ahead. Do your thing.
So I remember him saying that that day he was gonna go make a run with one of my cousins that was like his homeboy. So he was like they was going to make a run. Now he doesn't have any license. At that point he didn't have a valid driver's license. So he would drive, but he was on probation. So of course when you're doing something like that, you want to be legit as possible. So he didn't have a license. So him and my cousin was supposed to go. So I'm asleep. He comes back and he like wakes me up and he's like, hey, I need you to go with me. So I already knew where he was going because he told me. So I was like, I'm not going. I was like, no. And he was like, I need you to drive. You know what I'm saying? So they said they can't go this, that, and the third. He was like, I need you to go. And I was like, I'm not going. Like, I'm not going up there with you. And long story short, I ended up in the car. I was like, I'm not driving. So I sat on the passenger seat with my arms like folded. I was like, I'm not driving. And then we get up there. So we went to Orlando. And what was crazy
That's 2 hours.
Yeah. So what was crazy is the whole time on the way up to Orlando, like, I don't know if it was my spirit. I don't know if it was the Lord trying to tell me something.
You know what it is.
But there were like every police officer that I seen, it like stood out to me. It was like extra amounts of police officers everywhere. So it's like, I'm like, it's too many. Like I keep seeing everywhere we go. So we get to Orlando. He pull up to this apartment complex type building and he goes in. I sit in the car. And I'm like texting, all on MySpace, Facebook, whatever it was back then. So I'm on my phone. So he comes back and he gets in the car after, whatever happens. I don't know who he talked to. I don't know what they talked about. I don't know what was exchanged. I'm pretty sure I know what you got. But I did not go inside with him. So I'm sitting in the car. And then he gets in and then he drives and we go to like this little like gas station, convenience store. And he was like, go inside and get changed for the toll. Now, I don't know what I was thinking because first of all, when we went to Orlando, we didn't pass through a toll, but I wasn't thinking. So I go in there, I get me something to drink. I get us changed for the toll. So when I come out, he's on the passenger seat. Now, mind you, he was driving because I refused to drive. So when I went in the store, now he's on the passenger seat. And when we're at this gas station, there was this K9 truck and it was the officer, a K9 sheriff. And he's like standing at the newspaper stand. He had a newspaper. Now, was this man following us? Did this man know who we was? I have no idea.
In hindsight, you got to believe that it was.
Okay, I have no idea. Maybe it was just a coincidence. I don't know. So when I come back to the car and he's on the passenger side, so I'm like, no, I'm not driving. Like, no. So he's like, man, just get in the car, let's go. And I'm like, no, I'm not driving. So of course, me knowing what's in the car, and then you got this K9 sheriff here. So it's like, I really don't want to make a scene because I know what's in the car. So I ended up getting in the car. Now the car is in my name. He doesn't have a license. So of course it's in my name. I thought I was doing something, but he was using me.
In hindsight.
Right. I'm like, I got a car. He's like, girl, you got a car because he can't get himself a car. But so I get in and I'm driving. And on the way back, soon as we get into the county, now I'm from Highlands County. So as soon as we get in the county, the police, I see the police, they at the red light. So I'm in the lane and they get behind me and they throw the lights on. So when they throw the lights on, I get in the turning lane. I'm like, little regular traffic stop,
You
pull
wasn't,
over.
so you wasn't even concerned. Like you wasn't thinking about it or none of
I
that.
wasn't concerned because
Really?
no, I wasn't. Because and a lot of people on my YouTube channel, they hate when I say this, but I felt like it had nothing to do with me.